Hi, I am Teena Jain Kaushal, and you are watching Money9, India's first multilingual personal finance website from TV9 network. While the second wave of COVID-19 has hit India hard, hospitals across the country are flooded with patients. During these testing times, health insurance plays a crucial role as it is something many families look forward to during these rough times. But many of us have questions. Does my policy cover coronavirus treatment? Does it cover cashless settlement? To figure this out, I am having today Girish Rao, who is Chairman and Managing Director of Vidal Health, who is going to tell us all what is happening in the insurance space and how you can and what are the challenges being faced by policyholders. Mr. Rao, welcome to you.
Good
You being
afternoon.
a you being a TPA plays a very crucial role as you are a facilitator between an insurance company and the hospital. But when we are talking to so many people, they have this one doubt, though it has been addressed several times, whether my policy will cover coronavirus treatment. So can you first explain that do all kinds of policies cover coronavirus treatment?
Clear guideline from the regulator that almost all insurance companies are following that the coronavirus hospitalizations must be covered. I think the challenges are largely to do with the sum assured in terms of the coverage, and in some cases, maybe the criteria of sublimits in terms of type of hospital bed and stuff like that. But in principle, all policies do cover coronavirus now.
So all kinds of policies, whether you have a basic indemnity policy or the COVID specific policies, they will cover coronavirus, but the sum insured may vary but the coverage may vary from policy to policy depending on what you have opted for. So
That's
my next question is, if one has to file a claim, what is the procedure of filing a claim for coronavirus? What is the quick solution one can go for?
So I think the best thing is to opt for a cashless process because that makes sure that the policyholder stroke patient is assured of the whole transaction. So the first preference in my mind should be to pursue a cashless transaction. For the odd reason that the patient has chosen to go outside the network of hospitals that the policy permits, ideally he should sort of submit the claims as soon as he is discharged from the hospital and send them by scan. Now, the regulator has approved and instructed all the insurance companies and TPAs to accept claims through electronic medium, which is scanned. So you could just take on your phone photographs, and a lot of insurers stroke administrators have the mobile app. So you can sort of attach your photographed claims stroke scan to the app and just send it to the administrator who will process the claims. Typically, these claims are processed within 5 days, 5 to 7 days.
So you said about cashless settlement, but there have been news that hospitals are not accepting cashless treatment. And we have day before yesterday, our finance minister also issuing a notice to IRDA asking that insurers should authorize these cashless treatment. So if you can tell us what is happening on the ground, why there is so much pain process around cashless treatment.
Yeah, I think we are at this moment in unprecedented times in terms of the crisis, and hence the sensitivity around the whole process is required. But I think by and large, all the hospitals, to be fair, are accepting patients and making sure that wherever patients are insured, they are sending the cashless request to the insurance companies. I think few outliers are there, a few unfortunate hospitals are there who have sort of taken a shortcut to this process where they don't want to answer the insurance companies on why a certain treatment is done. I think there is a complexity of, how you approach a COVID patient and how you treat, what kind of protocols you are following. So a few hospitals, unfortunately, I would say they are outliers. They are not the core. The mainstream hospitals are providing cashless. Exceptions are there, and those get highlighted, unfortunately.
So what is the measure for a policy holder if the cashless treatment gets denied? Is it only reimbursement, or one can pursue from hospital that no, my cashless settlement should get through? So what is the recourse measure for a policy holder at that point of time?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. I think the good idea would be that whenever a COVID patient is being taken to hospital, if a caregiver could parallelly call the call center of the TPA and sort of give prior intimation that he's going to a particular hospital, the TPA could also take a proactive action and reach out to the hospital to make sure that the process of hospitalization and making sure that the necessary documentation needed for the COVID approval is done and provided for. I think in most cases, if they reach out very quickly on the way when they're going to the hospital, I know this time is a constraint. There is anxiety among caregivers about other things in terms of getting the hospital bed and the fear of the whole COVID issue. But if they can keep their heads cool and sort of reach out to the administrator or the insurance company, I'm sure we could minimize the cases where the cashless access is denied or foregone and not come through the reimbursement route.
So patients who are facing difficulties in getting through the insurance company, they can always call their TPA, because they are the facilitator between the insurance and the hospital. So moving on to my next question, we are seeing that lot many people are taking treatment through home only. They are not getting hospitalized, but they are doing home consultation, teleconsultations. So this, and there are makeshift hospitals also, because there is shortage of beds across the country. So can one claim these expenses under the this health insurance policy?
Yes, this is a little tricky. I think in many cases, the insurance companies have stepped up and are permitting the cases. But again, these are purely based on clinical protocols and, where is the level of COVID infection. Clearly, in some policies, home care is not permitted. But given the scenario, I think a lot of insurers are now, especially the public sector companies, are waiving some of these things and approving home care too, because I think the cost of medicines, even when a patient is sitting at home, is significant. So again, I think it's not as simple as the hospitalization case. But surely, I think there is merit in applying for reimbursement, and in some cases, especially where the patient is admitted in a non-hospital environment, those cases are surely being considered.
Okay, another common bone of contention is comorbidities. So if one is already having some illness, and above that one gets infected with coronavirus, will that be covered also in the policy? How does the process go?
Yes, again, an exception has been made. I think the public sector companies have sort of taken a very positive view to this. As far as Corona is concerned, I think there is a significant view that we must approve every pre-authorization and every claim that is there. In fact, in my mind, over the last 6-8 months, the only cases that I have seen that I got rejected are very few, first of all. And there are only two cases where I have seen where the rejection is one primarily because of the sum assured. Like I said, the patient has used up his sum assured. He's insured for 2 lakhs. He's already breached that amount. Or in very rare cases where the patient has been admitted, but there are no symptoms. So he has no infection symptoms, but he's got a COVID test positive case, and they have still admitted the case. So there, I think it is prudent that the patient stays at home and not occupy a bed because somebody else, some other needy patient may need that bed and need that care. And those cases are very, very few. We see typically now about 25-30% of our cases are COVID in terms of pre-authorization. And I would say, less than 0.001% of the cases must have got rejected under these two conditions.
Okay, Mr. Rao, you are on the ground. You are getting in touch directly with the people and the family of the COVID patients. What are some of the challenges that they are facing, and what are some of the challenges you are facing in facilitating these claims?
Yeah, I think now the biggest challenge, and I think we are all aware of it, and we see it every day on newspaper, television, and on our social media. I think unprecedented times, we've been caught as a society across the country, the load that we are seeing. And I think I dread my phone ringing because invariably it is, a patient trying to find a bed. And it is becoming impossible to locate a bed in hospitals across the country. It's not just New NCR or Mumbai. It's Bangalore, Pune, everywhere we are finding that patients are finding it almost impossible to find a bed easily. That's, I think, the first biggest challenge. And then, of course, once you find the bed, then medication is becoming a problem. I think some of the key drugs that are used for treatment are in short supply. So patients who have got one dose but are not getting the second round of the dose are becoming critical. And so, as administrators, a lot of policyholders, sort of want us to step in and be able to help. But unfortunately, I think we are in unprecedented times where hospitals, I must say that hospitals and the clinical staff are really bending their back. But the gap is very visible and stark.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, for giving us time. As you said, these are unprecedented times, but your health insurance policy covers coronavirus treatment, which can give you much needed financial support at this time of crisis. So thank you for answering us all the queries about coronavirus treatment, and thank you for being on Money9 today.